panic disorder, rage, severe depression. On top of all that, I'm stressing. Took a blind date to my therapy session and then tried to kill her. Her first impression was I'm groovy, I need a lumbotomy. But when I press play, trouble leaves up out of me. Fuck the real world and my fat ass stuck in. Cause in my music, hotties are fucking expression. Getting out all I wrote, depression, ripping out all your throat. And if my hearing was ever to go, mass murder would be inevitable.
Welcome to another episode of Maniacal Music Musings. I am your host, as always, Jeremy. You know me. I'm so fresh. As I said at the top of the world, I breathe anarchy and I'm a fire starter with my cocaine cowboys. Here at MMM, the world loves us and is our bitch. Well, not in real life, but in our eternity myth, it's true. My co-host, though, he loves his Mary Jane and his Tommy gun. You could find him marching in the Paradise Parade, trying not to smack my bitch up. He's a diesel-powered serial thriller, and he'll tell you Alan is a cowboy killer who chases him on the Day of the Dead Ringers. Motherfucking Chancy Greif.
Hi.
Yes, and we are back once again to debate these albums 3. But first things first, I shall introduce our guest. He was recommended to us by people that on this podcast, everybody should know who they are by now because they've been on multiple episodes. He was introduced to us by the podcast crew, and they had him on. They've had him on for a bunch of episodes, and they said he's a cool guy. You should have him on. I'm like, sure, I don't say no. I mean, well, not for podcasting at least. But our guest is Mike Hilbig, author, musician, and just all-around cool guy. So we're gonna get to know him a little more by, of course, talking about his album, because we always do our guest album first because we're considerate, kind people when we want to be. So, Mike, what album did you bring, and why did you want to bring it?
I brought an album by a sort of alternative, sort of punk or post-punk band from Wales, however you'd define that, and they're named Mclusky. The album's called Mclusky Do Dallas. And they were around sort of early 2000s. So I got introduced to them by a friend of mine. Went to South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. I'm from Houston, so it's just a couple hours north of us, and saw this band called Future the Left, and really liked them and introduced me to them. And I've been a big fan of their records. And Mclusky is actually the singer from Future the Left. Andy Falkus is his sort of first or maybe not his first band, but his first sort of project that was well recognized, and I just really like the record. I think it has a lot of like sardonic wit and sort of kind of a little bit of commentary on consumerism and interesting lyrics, and the music's pretty loud and raucous. And I played in punk bands a lot of my life, so that's sort of in my wheelhouse and stuff. So yeah, that's why I brought it in. Yeah.
All right. Well, Sir Chancelot, why don't you give your review first?
Dude, I fucking loved it. It was, dude, like from word go, I was like, all right, dude, this guy's gonna be all right. I think this guy's gonna be pretty fucking cool, and I was not disappointed. Yep, I even got an honorable mention and shit. It's fucking, I mean, honestly, just straight out the gate, it's got full speed ahead. It's got a slow your roll. It's got a little bit of everything. It's pretty fucking well balanced. And for never having heard of the band before, which I was surprised that I hadn't heard of the band before, but definitely stays on the list for sure.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you if you've heard the band or not, Chancy, because you are
No, I hadn't.
you usually my well of he who knows every band. So, I mean, to some degree at least.
I think
That's
they're-
why I said I was shocked that I hadn't. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. What were you
No,
saying?
no. I was gonna say I think they're one of those groups that's kind of like a critic's darling, but like had never really broke huge or anything like that. So like a lot of people really their albums are well reviewed, but they never really had mainstream success or anything like that. So, but yeah, I love this record. So.
Well, actually, that's the funny thing because I mean, a lot of the bands I bring on here, Chancy actually hasn't heard of either because they're not big in the U.S. They're big overseas in Europe, which
Yeah,
I mean, I personally I think European music is better than American music nowadays. I mean, maybe it wasn't that way in the 70s, 80s, but I think nowadays since the late 90s, it's just been that way. But personal opinion. But as far as Mclusky goes, I enjoyed it as well. I never heard of this band. I mean, no surprise there to me, but I never heard of this band. And I mean, as soon as I turned it on, I'm like, I was telling Mike off camera before he came on, Chancy. I'm like, what the hell am I gonna match this with? Like, I have nothing that's like this punk, like drop kick Murphys, maybe. But I'm like, I don't know. But actually, oh shit, I should have thought of that. But I mean,
I knew from the first note of the first song what I was gonna play. Like I was like, oh, you want to fuck around with this? All right, well, let's see what you think about that. So I put my fucking shit up. But sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I mean, but I enjoyed this CD immensely. It is definitely not the worst out of 3 I listened to today. But Chances like you motherfucker. But I did enjoy this.
We all know it's yours. We both know it's yours anyway. I mean,
yeah,
Mike and I fully understand that yours is the worst album of the day today. So
yeah, at least mine.
Yeah, I would maybe say that, but I was like, I didn't hate. I thought the 9 Pistolas record had some catchy tunes on it, but I definitely like the other 2 better personally. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just at least my music had words, Chancy. But I mean, your CD I did enjoy immensely. Some of the song titles had me freaking like giggling like a schoolgirl too because it was just funny. But so I mean, I enjoyed the shit out of the CD, and I got an honorable mention out of it as well. So fuck yeah, that's all good to me. So
I don't know if y'all have heard of Steve Albini before, but he actually is the one that produced this record. He produced Nirvana's In Utero. He was in a band called Big Black. I think I want to say late 70s, early 80s, but they had a pretty fun record called Songs About Fucking. And yeah, he's just like, for producing really loud, noisy, interesting stuff. And he's a pretty big time music producer. It's interesting. He worked with them on this record, and most people have never heard of it before. So yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, since we give our reviews, that means that we get to start top 5s. And Mike, as the guest, since it's your album, you go first.
Yeah. So should I go like 5 to 1, I guess, or is that how? Or start with
we usually start with honorable mentions, then go backwards from 5 to 1.
Yeah, so I mean, this is one of those records that I really just love start to finish, and I kept changing the order. So I actually have quite a few honorable mentions. And so I'll start with those. So Collagen Rock is like this song has a pretty funny chorus, like you got a mouth, got a wonderful mouth. That was an honorable mention. To Hell with Good Intentions, where he talks about taking more drugs than a touring funk band. Do you think To Survive, I think, is a really interesting, cool, fast song, and it's just sort of about living in a culture that doesn't really encourage critical thinking, right? And what we've learned is a song where he talks about sort of giving up everything to be on television. So sort of a commentary on selling out, I think. And those are my honorable mentions for this album. So if I had so starting with 5 through 1, I've got Day of the Dead Ringers, He said, "If I had to choose a woman, then I think I'd choose religion." It's just like everything. If I have to do something, then I'm going to do the opposite. Sort of the lyrical structure there. Gareth Brown Says, which is sort of like this song that starts with this funny trash talking part. He says, all of your friends are cunts. Your mother is a ballpoint pen thief or something like that. Number 3, which I actually think is the best title on the album, is Lightsaber Cocksucking Blues.
Yes.
And that has like it has this like really frantic, neurotic part where he's just asking, "Are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming?" And the drums are just going really noisy and loud. And it's the first track on the album. It starts off with a bang. Alan is a Cowboy Killer is number 2.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like that song. It's a pretty laid back song. It's just got this kind of drum beat kicking in the background and holding the notes, and the lyrics are pretty good on that song. And then the last one is actually the last track on the album, Who You Know Is my number 1, which has this killer like surf sort of guitar sound in it, and it also has the choruses, your heart's gone the color of Coca-Cola, your heart's gone the color of a dustbin. And again, just like the whole album to me feels, the lyrics are a lot of wordplay, a lot of puns, a lot of kind of in your face stuff. But I think mostly it's sort of a commentary on consumerist culture and like what that does to art. And I think that song sort of caps it off nicely. So that's my top 5. So yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I heard a lot of ones that are on my list on there as well. Well, I mean, hard not
Same.
to almost the whole. Oh, hard not to almost when the whole album's on there, but I do that all the time. So it's Chancy, so we can't complain. But Chancy, what were your top 5?
My honorable mention was actually Who Do You Know? I quite enjoyed that song, and I had to put it on the list somewhere. So it had to go on.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Chases. I like that one for some reason. I don't know what drew me to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Alan is a Cowboy Killer was solid for me. I fucking dug the shit out of that one. Number 3 was To Hell with Good Intentions. And number 2 is Lightsaber Cocksucking Blues, because fucking of course it's gonna be on the top 5. And then I wrote my number 1 down before I ever even heard the song, because I was like, dude, if there's this like it's fuck this band. Like I was like, nah, sold to the man with gray in his hair. Fucking fuck this band is going up number 1. I haven't even heard it yet, but that's gonna be my favorite song on the whole ass CD.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
I love that song too. It's just I couldn't put every single song on the album as an honorable mention, but there's not really I don't think there's any throwaway tracks on this album in my personal opinion, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I might have heard 1 or 2, but I mean, I wouldn't throw away any of this album if I was just, as I was telling Mike earlier too, like when I was younger, if I was in my early 20s and having a night of drinking and just making mistakes, this would have been one of the albums I definitely could have had playing in the background. Like
I would totally play this album on a road trip.
See, I wouldn't because I got kids in the car and
yeah, it does have some pretty out there.
Actually, I mean, I am going to Maine next week, so I got a 4-hour drive ahead of me there and too.
See,
but motherfucker, I have like 800 podcasts to catch up on because I don't listen to podcasts anymore because I never in my car that long. So yeah, so I'm busy.
And Alan is a Cowboy Killer when he's wipe up his mess, pay your fluffers by the hour. He's got some pretty like kids might have a question or two about some of that record.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids listening to Insane Clown Posse, so yeah, that's all I'm saying. But so as far as my top 5 go, I had 1 honorable mention, and that was Day of the Dead Ringers, because I thought that was a good end to the CD. Like, and yeah, I just like this song. My number 5 is Chases, because that song is fucking hilarious. Don't go fucking the barn is on fire. Like, it's just like,
right.
It's just like, I'm like, are you writing about events that are happening currently, or what's going on here? But my number 4, of course, was, as Mike already mentioned, College and Rock, because I was playing video games this afternoon, working / playing video games, and I was listening to the CDs while I was playing video games. And I'm playing some Saints Row, and I was like, the remake or the redo, I guess. And as soon as that song came on, I like replayed it, and I'm like, "Hey, sweetie, they wrote to my wife. I'm like, they wrote a song about you. You got a wonderful mouth." Like, like I fucking that shit made me laugh so hard. But number 3 is Alan is a Cowboy Killer. 'Cause I love Such an Ugly Child.
Yeah.
I was like, they wrote a song about Chancy, but no, I'm just kidding, Chancy. I'm sure you were a great looking child.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I never see pictures of you when you were young, and now you don't need to. But
I was a fat baby. I was a real fat baby.
You're such an ugly child. You're such an awkward child. I really like that song. That
Yeah.
that one's might be my number 1. I don't know. I like both those two. I like a lot of stuff. I switched my list around a bunch of times. I was like, well, I like this one. Actually, I like this one. So yeah.
and I mean, my number 2 was, of course, The World Loves Us is Our Bitch, because I love the name of that fucking song, and that's like my mind state 24/7 is the world loves me and is my bitch. Yeah, like that's just my mind state, like constantly, like fucking that. And of course, number 1, there was no other fucking option for number 1. As soon as I saw it and played it, I was like, yep. And of course, it's Lightsaber Cocksucking Blues, because I'm like, they said lightsabers. Oh my god, take my money. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
The freaking Star Wars nerd of me right there.
yeah, it's such a it's you hear the name of that track and it's like, and it's number 1 on the album, so it's like, it's just instant curiosity. It's like, what is this about? And that song is also, I don't know if you saw, there's like a music video for that song. It's got these like cats playing drums, and like it's like pretty funny because it's like they're just going all nuts and shit. So yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, I actually might have to check that out later, but
Yeah.
But I will say that it definitely was a good CD overall, and I enjoyed it. And the song titles had me dying, and that's a big thing for me is song titles, like it always has been. Like that's why I love when Chancy brought on Dog Fashion Disco and Polka Dot Cadaver.
Yeah.
Like their song titles are just classic, and like their songs are amazing too.
Speaking of repping the DF right here, DFD.
Yeah. So I mean, the song titles are a big thing to me always, and I appreciate them.
Yeah.
But wrapping that up, and I might have to check them out in the future. I mean, I gotta go back to that CD and heart some of them to go back on my. I gotta heart some of them so I could have them on my list when I get my daily mixes and whatnot, because that's what I listen to a lot now when I drive. And like my daily list are a lot of Dog Fashion Disco and Polka Dot Cadaver. Since I met Chancy and did the show, that's for damn sure. But all right, Chancy, I believe we can talk about your CD now.
Oh, nice.
Save best for last, you know.
Okay, so I mean, I guess you must be editing this around to where mine goes after yours.
No, sir. God fucking no. I mean, dude, this CD almost has me looking forward to the Taylor Swift bracket we're doing this weekend. So yeah.
I chose the Prodigy, the Fat of the Land, the glorious release back in 1997. And in 1998, fucking took America by storm. I was like maybe 13 at the I was like 13 during the 98 VMAs when they fucking won their VMA for Breathe. And I think they even did a performance too. I'm not 100% on that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But it's got so many fucking bangers on that motherfucker, dude. Like, dude, when they released the video to Smack My Bitch Up on MTV2 unrated, I fucking stayed up late as fuck. I was like, oh, I'm staying up late. I don't give a fuck if my parents catch me or not. And the fucking everybody freaked out. And then when they found out they were looking through the eyes of a woman, they fucking freaked out even more. I was like, oh, that's fucking epic. The fucking epic. Epic, fucking epic, epic. It's all a bunch of bangers. Bangers, mate. Bangers. All right. That's the end of my rant. Bangers.
All right, Rocco. Well, Mike, as our guest, you get to give your review next.
Yeah,
CD.
Yeah. So I was in high school when this came out. I was actually talking to Jeremy right before you hopped on, Chancy, and at the time I was like, I was like all punk rock all the time, and like sort of, wrote off a lot of electronic music. My tastes have grown since I've gotten older. I listen to a lot of like hip hop stuff now and stuff, but at the time I was like pretty one track mind, and so I didn't like hate this album. I just never really gave it.
It wasn't on your radar.
Yeah, it wasn't on my radar. I never gave it a chance. I mean, of course, I remember the "Smack My Bitch Up" music video because that was
was
pretty crazy. Yeah. But like it just like wasn't really on my radar. And I listened to this record. I actually really liked this record a lot, and it's and it was interesting to me because I'm a writer by trade, and I'm drawn to music a lot through lyrics, and this album doesn't really have a lot of lyrics. Most of it's just sort of loops and choruses and stuff, but I thought I think it's like good, like just nighttime sort of driving music, put it on and sort of like, just kind of get lost in some of that. And then I was really, I'll get to this in my top 5 eventually, but like they have a track with Dr. Octagon, who's Cool Keith and Dan the Automator. And I love that record. That's like a concept rap album. Cool Keith is really weird and interesting. And I'd never heard the whole record. I'd only heard, Firestarter and Breathe and Smack My Bitch Up from the music videos back in the day. So I was pleasantly surprised to like this as much as I did. Yeah, I was into it. Yeah.
Well, that brings it to my review of this album of Chancy's. And in 1998, I would have been 10 years old, and I basically still watched Nickelodeon. I don't think I started watching MTV till like a year later. So, I mean, I had strict parents I wasn't allowed to watch South Park for the longest time, and I had to have it on my TV in my room at night, and have Nickelodeon on the go back previous button, so that if my parents were walking down the hallway, I could switch it back real fast. I also worked with HBO a couple years later. I'll just say that, but talking about some real sex. But this CD, so yeah, I knew 2 of the tracks off the CD right away just from movies they've been in. Like I'm pretty sure Smack My Bitch Up was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but
possibly
if I'm not mistaken. Like, not even the lyrics, just the music from it. And I'm pretty sure I've heard Breathe in some movies too. I'm damn sure of that because I never saw any of these music videos. I know I haven't. But I know I've heard these in movies. So that's what I'm like, but as I'm listening to it, I'm like, am I listening to a fucking soundtrack CD? Is that all it is? Is soundtracks are trying to sell? But
nope.
That's what it seemed like. I mean, I enjoyed the CD as much as I could. I'm not saying that's a lot, but I enjoyed it as much as I could. And I did, and they were long ass fucking songs, and I kept trying to check it. Is this one over yet? Oh, 5 more minutes. What the fuck? But yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. You've brought worse. I will say that you've brought worse, but just Jesus Christ, dude! At least when I bring you a soundtrack, it's a good soundtrack.
This isn't a soundtrack.
It should be. It fucking should be, but
Actually,
all right, Chancy.
it's pretty well. Like I looked up the album. It's pretty well like respected in music critic circles. Like it's made a whole bunch of like top 100, top 1,000 records of all time. Like it's and it introduced I think a lot of people to like, you know, I think the rave scene was pretty. I never really got into the rave scene, but it was pretty big at that time period, and I think it introduced a lot of people who wouldn't have wandered into that territory to that scene. So yeah,
for sure.
I mean, Chancy was on dance team back in the rave scene, and he used to go with his dance partners, the cocaine cowboys, to all these clubs and rave the fuck out. But
Let's see. I had 2 honorable mentions for my top 5. One of them is Fuel My Fire, and the other one is Funky Shit. Number 5 for me is Serial Thriller. Fucking love it. Number 4 is Diesel Power. Number 3 is Breathe. Number 2 is Smack My Bitch Up. And my favorite, like for the longest time, my favorite Prodigy song has always been Firestarter. It was like the first song of theirs I ever heard. And actually, that's not true. Voodoo People is the first song of theirs I heard because of the movie Hackers. But yeah, Firestarter was always, it's just like it always resonated with me. And yeah, that's my top 5. The whole fucking album is pretty kick-ass, but if I had to narrow it down, I'd go with those 7 as my go-to 7.
Mike, as a guest, you go next. What's your top 5 in the honorable mentions?
Yeah, so my honorable mention is Smack My Bitch Up. I think it's a good song. I think it's to me it didn't make the top 5 because I think it's like the music video kind of helps it be more compelling, and some of these other ones I hadn't like, you know, heard or seen before, so maybe that's part of it too. So number 5 for me is Minefields. It has this like cool open up your head and feel the shell shock sort of line in it that I dug, that sort of repeated. Number 4 is Climatize. Number 3,
That's a good one.
Yeah, number 3, I had Serial Thriller. I really enjoyed that one a lot. It's got a pretty cool bass line sort of part going on to it. Breathe is number 2. I think that song has like this like weird, like it almost sounds like a knife sharpener. It's got this like high pitched scraping sound kind of going on in the background. And number 1 for me is Diesel Power, just because like it had Dr. Octagon,
Diesel Power,
Cool Keith on it. It has like if you never heard that record and you like weird rap music, like Dr. Octagon,
fuck yeah,
one of my favorite albums ever. It's really cool album. Also, Dan the Automator, the DJ on that, also does Deltron 3030 and the Gorillas. So you know he's got some cool music. But yeah, so hearing Dr. Octagon and like having never even heard that or knowing that was on the album or that he did anything with Prodigy before was just a nice surprise. I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit, that's Cool Keith, you know, like so. Yeah, that's my top 5. So yeah,
for sure.
Well, I have no honorable mentions for the CD because, yeah, I don't.
You have no honor. That's why.
You offend me, good sir. But
and also, I think that the high pitched sounds are samples from like kung fu movies with the swords where they.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. I was like, what is
just
that?
I'm just assuming, but I mean,
yeah,
it's a good speculation.
No, yeah, I think that makes sense. But yeah, that in Breathe, that was like really cool. I just like the way that sounded. Like it was a cool addition to that track. Yeah.
So yeah, my number 5 for Chancy CD, if it still can be called that, was Firestarter, which I kind of picked it because I had to pick a number 5 and I didn't have one, or number 4 originally. So I just like thought about it. I'm like, which ones I like enough to put on here? And I was like, all right, this one. And then number 4 was Serial Thriller, because I did like those two to some degree. My top 3, though, I was able to pick them out pretty easy because number 3 is Breathe. We matched Chancy. And I mean, Breathe, I've heard in movies before. I know I have. I just can't think of which ones, but I know I've heard it in movies before. But number 2 is Diesel Power, because it seems to me like the only actual song on this fucking CD, because it actually has words, more than like 4 or 5 words throughout the whole song. So, and then number 1, of course, was Smack My Bitch Up, because who doesn't like a song called Smack My Bitch Up? I mean, it's like they were going back to those old Esham days in the 80s. But yeah, in that song, I'm pretty sure Smack My Bitch Up was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back when they're doing the Diamond Heist.
I think you're right, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. It could be a completely different song, but for some reason that I was thinking about that. And honestly, Smack My Bitch Up was a good background song while playing Saints Row. But
Well, now that we got through the 2 good albums, why don't we just go ahead and tell everybody where we can find everybody?
motherfucker, I will find you first. So I have to. Don't think I won't, Chancy. Don't think I won't.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm sure I could find one. But, all right. Well, as Chancy just said, now we're going to move on to the best album of the night. Which is, of course, mine.
No, I'd have to say that fucking Mike's is the best album of the night.
I'll say it's a tie. I'll say it's a tie.
I'll give it a tie. It's a tie. It's a fucking tie.
But the album I brought to the table tonight was Legz Diamonds and the Purple Gang's 9 Pistolas, which
Mary Jane, sweet Mary Jane. The first time I seen her, she was standing out front of the wash and fold. She had a backpack hanging, she nodded like I got that crow. I'm like, oh? I drove by twice, double checking, finally pulled up and said, what a drought. Man, this drought is killing me. She said, yeah, for some, not for me though. Look what I'm all about. Oh my God. She had that
cat piss, white widow, Al Qaeda and pineapple, purple haze, ODB. Buy a second smoke with me.
Chocolate time. She got that chocolate time.
I guarantee if you weren't familiar with ICP culture at all, then you wouldn't even know this was an album put together by Psychopathic Records. You would think it was just some one offshoot of a random person doing an album, basically. But Legz Diamond, or as his real name is, Richard Morel, he was a guitarist in a Detroit rock band in the 90s. And Mikey Clark, the DJ for ICP, introduced him to Violent J, and because he wanted Violent J to sign the rock band Detroit Coupe to his record to the record label. They didn't want to because he thought the band sucked, except for the guitarist, who was Legz Diamond. And he worked with ICP throughout the late 90s, early 2000s on everything from Great Milenko up to Hell's Pit. Like he did all the guitar work for all those CDs, and his band even did backing vocals for a couple of them. But then in 2011, or I'm sorry, 2013, Legz Diamond signed Psychopathic Records to release his own CD, and Violent J basically made a group of the Purple Gang, which was his brother Jump Steady, who was the one who does a lot of the rapping on the album, and it was also his I guess he was married to her, I don't know, but it was his booty call, Sugar Slam, who was also in ICP Theater for a while with him. So, and basically put the two of them with Legz Diamond and said, all right, make your CD. And holy shit, when this CD came out, I was like, I never heard of Legz Diamond. Who the fuck is this? So I like just listened to a couple tracks and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm buying this. Hell yeah, this is an amazing CD. And I personally love this CD. I mean, just it's a story, it's a theme CD, and the theme is really good. Like I like anything mafia related, so especially like old school mafia related. So I was going for it. Like, and the tracks, some of the tracks are fucking like bangers. Like I could listen to like 10 of these tracks all the time if I had to. But so yeah, it was the only thing I could really think that would match Mike's CD to a certain degree. I mean, that's basically what it is. That's the only thing I could think of to match his CD. If I had a more punk band, like my thought Dropkick Murphys, I might have went with them. But just saying. But as our guest, Mike, what did you think of Legz Diamond? But I will say I'm actually happy I picked the CD because I started playing Saints Row this last weekend, and I'm back running with the Purple Gang, the Saints, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So I it's not necessarily my normal wheelhouse. I will say I thought it had some catchy tracks on it. I can see where you see like a connection because I think there's a lot of like just like shock value on this record, and I think Mclusky does a lot of that as well, right? And you know, it's based on like a real mafia figure, right? He's named after like a guy from like the 30s or 20s or something. When I looked it up,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's like to me, it sort of reminded me a little bit of Sublime, I guess, like maybe a little bit edgier version of that. Like it had like the sort of sing-songy kind of stuff. That's not really quite rap and not really quite just like regular singing. And yeah, I thought I had some catchy tracks. Like it's not my normal necessarily cup of tea or normal bag, but you know, I could jam this record. I wasn't like, you know, I didn't hate it or anything like that. It just wasn't it didn't pop like the other two records for me personally. But yeah, I like some of the tracks all right. So yeah.
All right,
Sort of my
Chancy.
overall feeling with it.
Chancy, you may break out Yay Old Burn book and commence with your review.
Actually, I'm not going to burn you that bag, buddy. I was mostly fucking around. It's really not that bad. Like I did find all the tracks, all 5 of the tracks that I wasn't able to pull up any honorables on it, but I found 5 solid tracks that I enjoyed. And it wasn't what I expected it to be. Because when I first like looked at the cover and you were like, "This is my choice," I was like, "Oh fuck, what's he doing? Like, what's going on?" Because like I listened to a little bit of Mike's album for like real quick first, and heard the opening to Lightsaber, you know, cockstuck and whatnot, and I was like, what the fuck is Jeremy doing? Like I thought it was like a Scrum album kind of thing. And I'm like, what in the fuck? Oh, this is gonna be the craziest Tuesday of all time. And I got to listening to it and I was like, damn, this is pretty good. It ain't terrible. It's pretty decent. But yes, that I'm not even gonna burn you, dude. Like I'll let you talk more shit about my album. I will kill you with kindness, sir.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna be killing me with kindness because I don't get enough in life to kill me. So, but
It's that slow and steady. It's that slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
You're too late then. My wife's already killing me that way. But well, does that conclude your review, Sir Chance-a-Lot?
Yes.
All right. Well, I will give my top 5 plus 5 honorable mentions for this CD. I'm sorry, but this CD has like 14, 15 songs, and it's a banging fucking CD. Like, I took my dog to the fucking vet for a weigh-in today. She now weighs a heaping 95 pounds. I'm sorry, 97 pounds. You gotta love a Mastiff who's only 10 months old. But, yeah, she's gonna be a big girl. But My first honorable mention was Anarchy because I love that song. But it's not top 5 material. It's just it's a good like pump up song. And then my next one, which was my top 5 for a while, but I had to kick it down, was Feared and Respected because that has that mafia feel to it. That's all it is. That mafia feel. Like when this CD first came out, like 2013, I fucking loved it. Like I used to blast this shit all around my town. But then my next honorable mention is Not in Real Life because Not in Real Life is like a depressing ass song, but it has like a good ending. So it's like, I don't know, it fit my persona back then a lot. Still does to some degree. Which is followed by Eternity Missed, which I like anything that's about missed opportunities, and Eternity Missed is like such a good. Which if I'm not mistaken, that's the song where he talks about the girl blowing him in the movies, and like he's like, she wanted extra butter. That shit makes me die laughing. Actually, that was not in real life. That's not in real life, I think. But actually, I'm not sure. But I do love Sugar Slam and like Legz Diamond's like duets in Eternity Missed. Like it's a really good, almost like it reminds me almost like a Western love song, kind of. But and my last one I'll mention was Paradise Parade because that was like the Juggalo song on the CD. Was like Paradise Parade. It was like Homies or like Juggalo Island that Chancy heard a couple months ago on another CD. But it's kind of like that song. So it had to be in the honorable mentions. My top 5, though. Oof. These are the 5 songs that I can listen to all the time. And my number 5 is Top of the World. Because I love the freaking soundbite in the beginning. I forget what movie it's from. I'm pretty sure
It's from Doctor Strangelove and the love of the nuclear bomb or some kind of shit like that.
How I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I know I saw it, but I'm like,
yeah, Peter Sellers, like, bucking Broncos, the nuclear bomb down from
right
at the end of it. Yeah, that's a
look at me, Mom, on top of the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're gonna go out, I mean, fucking A, man.
And that's like it was a Stanley Kubrick movie. I think it's like his second or third movie.
Yeah.
It's one of his early ones, but I've always really liked that movie a lot. I've always thought it was one of his best movies that people don't really talk. Like people talk about, like Clockwork Orange and
Shining.
Yeah, Shining and some of those, but people don't often mention that one, and it's a pretty cool movie. Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, I love Top of the World. It's a good song too. Like, I feel like it's actually a ripoff of a song from somewhere else. I feel like it's a cover because, like the whole mention of Crown of Thorns. Like I feel like it's a song from somebody else sang. Like, I don't know. I could never find anything to prove that though, but it just felt like that way. But it was still a good song, and it's a good end to the CD, kind of. And of course, number 4 had to be Mary Jane, because that's just a damn good song about weed. Like, it's just a damn good weed song. Like, I love the way they freaking like do all the names of the different strains, like with the beat though. Like, it's perfect. And I want to smoke a lot of the ones they fucking mentioned. I don't know why. It's just the names that make me want to smoke it. But and which of course it would have been higher too. I wanted to put Mary Jane higher, but I couldn't. Mary Jane higher. That's funny. But number 3 was of course Tommy Gun. Because I love that song. I love like the fucking way the beat is. I love the whole like when he does the Tommy Gun sound, like like the way he does it is just so fucking good. Like, I don't know. I used to love blasting that when I was driving around back in like 10 years ago. Number 2 was Cocaine Cowboys. Because it's
naturally.
It's a good, I mean, it's a Western song, and it's like a funny Western song, basically, which I love when rappers do like funny Western songs. So, which I'll be bringing some more of those on eventually, Chancy. Don't you worry. But yeah, Cocaine Cowboys. It's just like I don't know. I like songs that like boost you up, and that song boosts you up a lot. Just like Cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, song contents, friend.
But then, number one is has always been my favorite song on this fucking CD, and it is So Fresh. Because right around the time they signed him, they signed a rapper who's been around since NWA times, like ICP, named Cold 187 and he Cold 187 was actually on NWA's mixtape they did between their two CDs. So he's been around for a long fucking time, but he's a good rapper. He did one CD with ICP, like with their label. He did one CD. I forget what the hell it's called even, but it was about it was another theme CD about like him being a hitman, and like it was actually a good CD. I'll have to bring it on at some point probably, but So Fresh, like with him on it, is so good. And then DJ Clay actually did a remix a couple years later with just Cold 187 with a different beat, like, and the remix is pretty good too. Like I love he actually made like a marching band beat almost. Like it's kind of interesting, and So Fresh has always been my favorite song on this because I mean it brought me back to like the Outkast So Fresh song from like early 2000s. So I mean I liked it, but that was my top 5 plus 5. Mike, as a guest, you get to go next.
Yeah, so I didn't have necessarily an honorable mention as a track, but I did want to bring up that like the intro has Bushwick Bill in it, who's in the Ghetto Boys, which is a rap group from Houston.
Oh yeah,
you know, and I'm from Houston.
Size ain't shit.
Yeah, so
keep telling yourself that, Chancy. Keep telling yourself that.
So that was cool. I like seeing that right off at the beginning of it. My number 5, I actually had Anarchy. I think that's probably just like punk rock background.
Yeah.
You know, anything Anarchy. You know, that was where I was at when I was a teenager. So I liked that. I liked that one. It's got a kind of upbeat, just kind of nihilistic sort of feel to it. Number 4, I had Not in Real Life. I kind of liked that one because I thought that a lot of this album is sort of just I classify it as like sort of fun music. He's not trying to like make any high art. He's just trying to have some fun, right, and do some fun tracks and a lot of funny stuff. But I thought Not in Real Life had like a real message behind it, and that was something I just sort of connected to on the record. Number 3, I had Mary Jane. I also liked the sort of weed strain wordplay. One of them was called Cat Piss, and then he has one named Kurt Cobain, which was sort of funny. Number 2, I had Go ahead. Sorry.
And I forgot to say, but I do love that Mary Jane, like, she drove a DeLorean. Like that would make me laugh, like Back to the Future fucking car. But
number 2, I had Top of the World again. I thought that was one of the ones that was sort of about coming up from the bottom. I think he mentions like getting out of prison in that song and stuff like that. And so another one that I thought was lyrically a little more than just like a fun track like a lot of them were. And then my number 1 was actually I liked the title track. That's like the first real song on that, 9 Pistolas. I just thought it had a real catchy sort of tune to it, and it's sort of like Mary Jane in that it's like except he's doing it with different kinds of guns. Just like a sort of kind of gun feel to it. And so those were my top 5. Yeah.
That's funny.
9 Pistols is a damn good song though. It is.
It really is.
It couldn't make my freaking list of 10 like I wanted it to, but it just couldn't. Like there's so many. I don't know. A lot of these songs are just like fucking. Some of them touch deep. Like some of the honorable mention ones, I wish I could have done higher, but I just couldn't. But all right, Sir Chancelot, what are your top 5?
So it's funny because like my top 5 has been entirely described by both of you. My number 5 is 9 Pistolas. Number 4 is Top of the World. Oh, actually, except for one. Number 3, Made Man. Nobody brought that one up.
I love that song, and I wanted to put it on my list, but I was trying not to play every song on my list and pull Jeremy, so I had to put the line somewhere. But I do love Made Man.
Number 2 is Mary Jane, And number one is honestly probably one of the greatest homages to a rapper ever of all time. And that's the fucking intro, Jeremy. Come on, you
I
ought to
knew
know
it.
better.
I knew it.
You ought
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
I tried to no sell it when he brought it up. I was like, "Oh, don't fucking flinch. Don't flinch. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. Don't sell it. Maybe he'll just think that he brought it up and that was all that it was."
Motherfucker, I was listening to the intro leaving my house today to go to the vet, and I'm like, it's going to be Chancy's number one. It's going to be Chancy's number one. Like, I know that already. I already know that.
Yeah, well, Bushwick Bill actually, he actually hangs out. So he goes to music festivals and bars and stuff in Houston.
Oh,
And I've had all sorts of friends run into him and end up in pictures with him on Facebook and stuff. It's funny, yeah. So
I thought Bushwick Bill was dead.
he might be, I don't know, he might be now.
I'm
but
pretty sure
he's
he
been
is
around.
now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, but I thought Bill died a while back.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he died back in June of 2019.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Wasn't
that
that far then?
yeah.
Yeah, he had cancer. He died of cancer.
Poor guy.
Also, if you like the weed smoking rap music, there's a guy on the same record label as Ghetto Boys named Devin the Dude, who's pretty fun. He does a lot of just if you like the Mary Jane song, that's he's got all sorts of just weed records on his albums, and he's kind of funny. He's like a rapper, but he's doing instead of doing bling rap, he's I'm rolling, car not stolen, probably never will be. It's much too old and kind of stuff. But yeah, so that was cool to see the Houston kind of connection there. But that was a funny little track. I thought I had to mention it as well. So yeah.
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely will have to. But yeah, I mean, just I don't know, come on. I don't know. This was such an unusual CD to come from ICP's label. All their other music sounds so similar that this one was what's this now?
Yeah,
I mean,
I have to say I hadn't ICP is one of those groups. My friend's older brother was really into them. I listened to some of their stuff and I thought it was all right, but they was just never really my thing or my wheelhouse. But I will say those guys at first when they came out, they seemed like they're sort of really into the shock value in their younger career. But I don't know, that Violent J dude seemed like a pretty solid guy. Just everything you see on the news and stuff, It's sometimes I want to like his records more than I feel like I naturally do. I don't mean to insult you if that's your thing or anything, but it's just never really been in my wheelhouse. Maybe there are deeper cuts that I would like more than what I've heard before. But yeah, he just seems like a solid guy. Going with his kid to the furry convention and taking
I was gonna say
the juggalos to go kick Nazis' asses in Washington D.C. and shit like that. It's just they're they seem pretty on the level. So and I probably misjudged them when I was younger. So yeah. So
opinions are like assholes.
Yeah.
Everybody has one. And that's literally what he said in the steps of the Capitol in Washington. That's gonna be your big tagline from your speech, Jay. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Really? You just let all the juggalos down. Just saying.
But yeah, I didn't think this sounded like anything that I don't have extensive.
You're painting yourself as that fucking stereotype. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And just for anybody who wants to hear it before I bring it on the show eventually, Cold 187's album he released for Psychopathic was called The Only Solution. And it's a story of him, the psychopathic assassin, pursuing revenge against its uncle Black Swan, who murdered his father, which is a very Assassin's Creed-like storyline. So that's why I loved it. But
isn't that Hamlet?
Is it? I think so. I thought Hamlet was against the father, not against the uncle.
No, his father died, and then he's revenging him. I'm an English.
Yeah,
I'm an English professor by trade. So,
and then the uncle started fucking the mother, and then he fucking killed his uncle and his mother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, but he doesn't. He sort of waits around. The whole play is about him just sort of being this sniveling little sort of rich kid who never had to work, and now he's been charged to avenge his father's death, and he keeps making excuses not to do it. And then when he finally does, it's like it's really disastrous. He stabs the wrong person, and then just sort of sets off a chain reaction. And by the end of it, like everybody has killed everyone. So it's like just yeah. I mean, it's Shakespeare, so it's like not always the easiest read, but like he has a lot of stuff that you can like if you can get through the sort of the English he's using, the sort of archaic English, like it's he's got some that one in particular has some pretty funny moments, especially just sort of a lot of it's just it seems like him bagging on sort of like sons of kings and stuff. So yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean it's a good CD. I'll bring it on eventually. I gotta find we have a lot of different guests coming up in the future because we started using Podmatch to find. Well, I started using Podmatch to find guests for this show. Because if you're gonna bring guests on, why not get paid for it once in a while? And actually, next week, Chancy, we are going to be doing our Albums That Heal episode.
Okay.
So I will find out our guest Diana's album, and then we could match it as best we can with our Albums That Heal as well. Which I gotta try not to go dark half, but just saying. But yeah, I'll find album that heals. But Mike, thank you for being on. It's been a fun show to do. I've had a great time with you, and got to learn some new music, which is the point of the show.
Yeah.
But first things first, tell the people about your book and about your band, and where they can find all your book and your band if they want to read or listen to it.
So the book is called Judgment Day and Other White Lies. It's a short story collection. It's from Madville Publishing, which is a sort of small literary press out of well, they're based out of Madison, or they were originally based out of Madisonville, Texas, hence the Madville name. It's Madville. But it's now located sort of right outside of Denton, Texas, and it's a short story collection. It's sort of borrowing themes from Greek myth, but telling them in contemporary settings. So, like I have like a graffiti writer named Percy that's spray painting Medusa heads on a wall, and sort of people are becoming frozen by these Medusa portraits. And I just started a new band. We don't really have a whole lot to hype yet, but we're called Big Fan. And we're based out of Houston, Texas, mostly sort of local, regional sort of thing. But I think the music is pretty cool, and just kind of be on the lookout for us. If you're into, we sort of have a sort of indie rock kind of vibe, actually not that far off sort of from what this Mclusky record is doing. So sort of noisy indie rock in the Pixies or Husker Du or that kind of wheelhouse. So so that's my stuff. You can find me at MikeHilbigWriter.com. And the book is based out of MadvillePublishing.com, so you can go there to order their books online. So yeah, that's all.
All right. Well, be sure to check out for that stuff for our listeners, and I will have to definitely give your book a chance because I like me some short stories. And the title of it intrigued me right away. I'm like, what's that now? But I'm like, is this like a conspiracy book? Like, can I get behind that? But Sir Chancelot, where can they find you in the multitude of places they can find you?
Oh, apparently I can be found everywhere. The Book of Faces under my name. Instagram and TikTok under the Red Eye Roundtable. The Twitter under Red Eye Table. This glorious podcast, the Bracket Bastards podcast. Basically anywhere I can kind of creep into the dark recesses of the subconscious mind. That is where I reside.
Yes. Chancy the Creeper. But you can, of course, find us on Facebook as Paranormal the New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings podcast with the S Facebook group. You can find us on Twitter and the Gram as @Juggalo Bastard. You can find us on TikTok as at Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And be sure to check out on TikTok our new ever-growing clips we do that are gaining popularity. And you can also find us on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings.
Yeah.
The Stevie Wonder bracket will be releasing tomorrow on YouTube and Spotify. And Good Pods and everywhere else you catch your podcasts at. Be sure to catch us next week for a special themed episode of albums that have helped us heal in the past. So, Chancy, be prepared for more scum. But
All right, I'll prep.
No.
I'll start preparing myself.
get your Hellraiser kit ready. But yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to the guest. They're not cute. But we will catch you all next week, and we thank our guest Mike for coming on because it's been a freaking pleasure to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed talking to you. For sure.
We'll definitely have to have you on back on again at some point.
All right.
But catch us next week, listeners.
Mary Jane, sweet Mary Jane. The first time I seen her, she was standing out front of the wash and fold. She had a backpack hanging, she nodded like I got that grow. I'm like, oh? I drove by twice, double checking, finally pulled up and said, what a drought. Man, this drought is killing me. She said, yeah, for some, not for me though. Look what I'm all about. Oh my God. She had that
Cat piss, white widow, Al Qaeda and pineapple, purple haze, ODB. Buy a second smoke with me.
Chocolate time, she got that chocolate time.
With me.
Chocolate time, she got that chocolate time.
I bought a sack of some Optimus Prime, recline, and flew through Peru. Sweet Mary Jane made me promise that I'd spread word to my crew.
She got the Frankenberry, she got the monkey paw, she got the kryptonite.
Now everybody I know is smoking like Colombian kings and queens. She has a line down the block. You can see the fat ass knots in her jeans.
Got that Northern
She's
Lights.
getting paper.
Got that ogre.
Cause she's got
Cat piss, white widow, Al Qaeda and pineapple, purple haze, ODB. Buy a second smoke with me.
Kurt Cobain, she got that Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain, she got that Kurt Cobain.
I had to know where she got that Death Star. Curiosity was eating me alive.
Where did she get that shit?
So I followed her DeLorean. That's right, and it was a long drive. I was almost out of gas when she passed the last exit and drove into the woods. A UFO from the sky, it landed and re-upped all her goods. It's true, she got that
Cat piss, white widow, Al Qaeda and pineapple, purple haze, ODB. Buy a second smoke with me.
Electric cabbage, she got
Buy a
electric
second smoke
cabbage.
with me.
Electric cabbage, she got electric
I
cabbage.
now know why they call her shit Chuck Norris. Cause it's always kicking my ass.
Hi, I'm Chuck Norris.
She got that thunder, fuck that purple Urkel, green crack hog's breath, Martian grass. I hit it and passed out for 8 hours, and I woke up still high. Sweet Mary Jane, don't move away. I'm on your dick till I die. It's true, girl, cause you got that.
Cat piss, white widow, Al Qaeda and pineapple, purple haze, ODB. Buy a second smoke with me.
Blue hippo, she
elsewhere, but it ain't the same.